Hello G fans, here to have this very special video. I'm not sure how many people have heard of this, but there was an interview with the new Japanese Godzilla director Shinji Higuchi, or however you say it, but I'm hoping that's very close. Man, I very much respect for his mark on the kaiju genre. And there was an interview by the Associated Press just yesterday on August 5th, and he basically talks about Godzilla movies, the new one, and how he feels they finally spiraled down into their very fortunate end in 2004. For those who don't know the tragic history of the Millennium series, well, I guess it all starts with fucking TriStar. TriStar kind of led to the downfall of Godzilla in a lot of ways because we had to show a series which financially did pretty well for the most part. It did have its low point, but financially it held together pretty well despite the crumbling quality of the films. Until Terry Mecha's, of course, was a big bummer, but that was for a lot of reasons. And then we had a 9-year gap. And then we had the Heisei series. The Heisei series, other than Godzilla's Biollante, was financially very successful. They had tons of box office crushers like Godzilla Destroyer, Godzilla's Mothra being the most successful of them all. And they did very well. But the thing is, around 1994, I believe, TriStar started expressing interest to want to make a Godzilla movie of their own. So with that, Toho decided to kill off Godzilla. And they did this in a remarkably creative and well-done film called Godzilla vs. Destroyer. So with that, the series was laid to rest to lay the groundwork for the new American Godzilla. Well, I should say the American Godzilla at the time. There hadn't been one yet. And then 1998 rolled around and, well, rest in peace. We got Gino/Zilla, not an actual Godzilla movie. And yeah, needless to say, fans and audiences alike were disappointed. And the film didn't bomb at the box office, but did nowhere near as good as the distributors intended it to be. So therefore, no sequel was planned at all, and it was immediately given up on. Although there was a brief show that I think was pretty good. With that, Toho, seeing as they felt a little insulted, decided to end their gap, their little hiatus, a little early to come out with Godzilla 2000 in 1999, which did moderately well at the box office. And then came Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, which did very poorly, and then GMK, which did outstandingly. It was a peak of the Millennium series, box office-wise, and then followed by Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, which did well. And then the last two, SOS and Final Wars, did very poorly at the box office, unfortunately. Took us, but especially sad since it's to me, one of the better of the series. And Final Wars, of course, I could really see why that bombed. I mean, it didn't bring anything new to it brought something new to the table, just weren't really good things. And then with that, the series went on a 10-year hiatus. And then what happened in the meantime? 2014 came out. The whole 10-year 6th anniversary, and we celebrated in the best way possible with a new American Godzilla movie. And then the cool thing about this interview is that Higuchi, he really is a man who really understands Godzilla. And I say this is very important to have a director who understands Godzilla to make one of these movies, especially in Japan, is because when you put a director behind it who doesn't, you can just see it. Directors like Tako Wara, Kazuki Amori, and even Masaki Tezuka, who was behind Megaguirus and the Kiru films, you can all see they had an admiration for Godzilla. However, Ryu Kitamaru, director of Godzilla Final Wars, did not, and it just shows in his work. I mean, the 70s Godzilla films are, I understand, some people's favorites, but overall, in comparison to the rest of the series, they don't really compare. And the fact that he focused on those films to get his tone just shows, I don't know, he was not the strongest of Godzilla fans, and most people admit to this day that he's not really a Godzilla fan at all. So with that said, I'm glad we have a director who actually knows what he's doing now. And I love a lot of Shinji's quotes in here. I'm glad I can read a written down version of it and not have to watch. Well, either way, I would love to watch a video of it, the subtitle, but all I have is a actual thing written down with quotes from him, which is fine with me. But he definitely had a lot of love for Godzilla, you could tell. And his cool thing is he's a humble guy, too. He says he's one of the top 50 lovers of Godzilla in the world. He says he not may be in the top 10, but he says gracefully that he is in the top 50. And I believe that after seeing his work on GMK and the Gamera series. GMK, to me, being the ultimate peak of the Millennium series. In so many ways, storytelling-wise, tone-wise, special effects-wise. It really was the peak of the Millennium series, like I said. And Gamera got turned around from the death he suffered in the 60s and 70s because of Higuchi and, of course, Suzuki Kaneko, who directed GMK. But Higuchi helped deliver that vision and bring it to life, so you got to respect the man already. But Higuchi called the dwindling era of the early 2000s of Godzilla. He said Godzilla had to deliver more and more, respond to calls from the audience as well as creators. And then Godzilla went through stages, resetting itself, developing, and then succumbing to exhaustion until it just got so big it had to stop. This is definitely true because you look at the budget for them was definitely climbing. Although I think GMK did have the biggest budget so far, and it did pretty well with it. It was just Final Wars had one of the biggest budgets ever for a Godzilla film up to, of course, 2014. And of course, American Godzilla. But anyways, Japanese films wise, Final Wars had the biggest budget with very minimal return. And I'm pretty sure that was pretty much a nail in the coffin for Japan. They were just like, you know what, it's time to just let it die off. And I could talk about how they misuse their budget, and it goes to Final Wars, a section I plan on doing soon, so I won't go too much into that. But the man definitely knows what he's talking about. Godzilla was definitely overused in that, especially in the Millennium series, because they had the whole alternate reality series going, where each one was basically a reboot after reboot, kind of, which kind of worked well in a sense, because it was interesting to see different directors take on Godzilla. The problem is, he just felt no sense of continuity, and he didn't feel consistency between the films, especially between something like GMK as opposed to Megagear's. So many different tones and different techniques, and that's just a host of problems to think about when you do it that way. But once again, I'll cover those more in the individual sections of those movies, like Megagear's, GMK, Final Wars. I already covered both the Kiryu films and 2000, so yeah, halfway there. But yeah, Higuchi says filming is going to begin soon, by next month, and I'm assuming he means around September or maybe even October, which is fine. It really is fine with me. I'm assuming it would still come out like December of 2016 in the usual Toho fashion, which to me is good. They're getting a head start. I think they're giving it a much longer production period than past Godzilla films, which is good to me. It shows that they're learning from their mistakes, that you can't just crap this one out in a year like they usually did. I hate to say the word crap it out, because they've done some very good films in the whole production span of a year. The problem is, though, we're moving to a modern era, and sure, you can still move really fast production-wise, but you also need to take steps to really think about a lot, and probably add a lot more depth to the characters and the story itself. Oh, excuse me, battery is running low. But anyways, if you guys don't know, I haven't seen it yet myself, but Attack on Titan was supposedly it was received very well in Japan, especially special effects wise. I've seen special effects; they look really good, and so far, I'm very happy that before it was a debate between suitmation and CGI, and just like Attack on Titan, we're receiving word that the new 2016 Godzilla movie will be a marriage of suitmation and CGI, which to me is just wonderful to hear. So that's gonna be awesome. So now we finally know for sure this Godzilla will still have a very realistic look to him, probably because it will still be a man in a suit, but it has a CGI to, fine-tune the details, which to me is a fantastic decision on their part. And the thing about Higuchi is you gotta love this interview, because he praises 2014 as a masterpiece, and whether fans can debate that all day or not, the fact remains that 2014 really resurrected this series from the dead, which I was so glad, and I'm so glad to finally feel like the series is alive again. For a while there was like, you're a Godzilla fan, what the hell, and then now it's a growing community again. I love that. There's so much activity now and so much going on. It really is great. And the good thing in this review, Higuchi talked a lot about the tone, and just like I expected, he says it's going to be a much darker Godzilla film than most fans are expecting, which is great. I'm assuming he'll be back to his old evil ways. And he also notes that the tone will be different. He says nuclear threats will still be in there. However, there will also be other themes as well. And also, of course, it is confirmed Godzilla will be the biggest Godzilla ever, which is pretty insane. The new Godzilla was almost 400 feet tall. He's 355, I believe. This new Godzilla will be even bigger. I'm assuming he'll reach 400 feet. 500 feet will be pushing. I mean, shit. But you know what? When you think about it, to me, it's technically fine. I mean, in the modern era, there's still so many abilities. Even in 2014, you could see there's a lot of abilities that still dwarf Godzilla, so it won't feel too ridiculous. And to me, you know what? Fucking go for it. But I'm assuming he's going to bring the god back into the Japanese Godzilla and just go in a very different tone. I mean, to me, this sounds already a lot better than the last reboot to the Japanese series, Godzilla 2000, which is a film I respect in some ways and detest in others. I don't think Godzilla 2000 was a proper reboot to the series, but I think this film definitely will be. And I am very much looking forward to this movie. Battery's killing, let's race against time. But yeah, the 2016 Godzilla movie, there's so many reasons to look forward to it. If you guys need the link, I will try and provide the link in below in the description for the article if you want to read it yourself, because there's so much in there that I kind of breezed over. But it's a very interesting article. You definitely read it if you want to watch the whole interview. I'm not sure to find that just yet, but I will try, and if I do find it, I will post it or provide a link. Good day, G fans.